What is up, you guys? So today I'm gonna show you guys kind of what I do for mixdowns, and I just want to kind of explain what mixdowns are because I looked up a few videos before I did this tutorial just to kind of see if there was gonna be any similarities between what I do and what other people have done already. And from what I've seen, there's not really a lot of good proper mixdown videos. So I mean, not that I'm gonna try and do a good one here. I'm just going to explain at least what I do. So mixdowns to me is pretty much just transitioning from one stage of creating a song to the next. So for me, there's 3 stages, and it's probably the same for a lot of people. The writing session, so pretty much where you write the song and kind of come up with the idea of it and kind of get it to sound how you want in terms of sound design. And then the next stage for me is mixing. So in between the writing and the mixing stage, there's got to be a mix down. So that's pretty much just me getting everything, all the MIDI stuff, all the audio stuff in here, just all bounced out into wave files and just ready to go to import and line up in a new session to start mixing. So a mix down for me happens between the writing and the mixing, and then I have another mix down that pretty much happens between the after I'm done mixing to the mastering session. But it's not really a mix down at the end of mixing. It's just you're bouncing out your master to use as the file for mastering. So I'll show you guys how I bounce out everything in Ableton. So the best way to create a good mix down, and I'm not going to give you mixing down tips. There's quite a bunch of videos of those, but the best thing you should do is bounce out every single track. So the quickest way to do it in Ableton, including getting the groups and everything inside of them and the buses and all that crap, is just to render it all out and export. So let me see. I just want to quickly say that there should be nothing on your master, and you shouldn't be clipping in anything on any of your groups or tracks. There should be no red anywhere, and the whole track should play at around -3 dB tops. So you want to leave some headroom. So nothing on your master, no dithering, and yeah, the other one that I said I can't remember. So the quick key is Command Shift R, but I'll show you guys where that is in the file menu. So you just go there, and what you want to do to bounce out everything from the writing session to the mixing session is to go to individual tracks. So that's going to get everything, and then you can see that it's giving you the starting and end point pretty much. And you want to make sure you leave a little bit extra room at the end, just in case there's some reverbs and delays. You got to catch that stuff, because once it gets consolidated into a waveform or a wave file, there's no getting that back, so you'd have to go back and redo it. So just leave a little bit extra room at the end. Make sure you just wait until your reverbs or delays, if you have any, just completely die out, and then cut it off right there. And so pretty much that's what these two are for. You just make a selection before you even come to this dialog box. Then you can set your file type. So I prefer a wave file. AIFF is okay, but the wave files are just easier to use with most DAWs. And we'll set your sample rate to whatever. I started this in 44, so I'm gonna end in 44. And for bit depth, you can set it to whatever your bit depth preference is. Mine is 24 because it's a little bit better than 16. And honestly, 16 was used back in the 90s when people were burning CDs or making music for CDs to sell in stores. That's not really happening anymore. CDs are kind of dead, and that's for real now. So 24-bit is fine, but again, set it to whatever you need it for. And this is important, like I said earlier, no dither, because dither is literally the last thing that happens to a song ever before it's released into the world. So a song is written, it's mixed down, it's mixed, then it's mixed down again into one audio file, or one wave file, and then that gets mastered, and then as the mastering engineer is exporting that file, then at the very end he adds dithering, and that's the last thing he does, or unless he added a plugin dither and turned off the DAW's dither. But literally dither is the last thing, and it's kind of, I don't really want to explain what it is, but it's not something that's audible. It's just something that kind of finalizes and fills in little tiny gaps with it's just all technical. Who really cares? If you want to learn about dither, which you should, there's tons of videos for that. So anyway, once you've set all this the way you want, you export it out, and I'm not going to do that because I already did, and it's going to take a very long time, so I'm just going to go ahead and close Ableton right now because this is all done. So just make a file on your computer, just like a place where you can send all that stuff to just sit there and wait for you. And so you can see this is kind of what it looks like, and it takes quite a while, and you got to kind of watch it too, because every time I do it, at least with Ableton, I always experience at least one crash or one error, and that has to make me restart it. So what I typically do is I start it, I let it do its render, and then sometimes it stops, then I reset it and it does it all over, and then I leave my house and come back and it's done. So you got to make sure that you bounce out everything that's all there. It's really important to name your groups and tracks before. It kind of makes it easier to tell things apart. I named some things but not everything, so it just took more time later when I was in Pro Tools to organize it all. So you saw what my Ableton writing session looked like, and now my Pro Tools mixing session looks like this. So actually, there we go. So it's just, I imported all those waves, I organized them, colored them, made groups and stuff, and just kind of took out the extra Ableton groups that were there, because you have all the individual files that were inside the groups, and then you have the audio of the group itself. So it sounds all funny when you just play it all together. So there are some things that have to be muted and reintroduced. So that's kind of what I do for my mix downs, and that's what gets me from writing session to the mixing session. So hopefully you guys find this useful.